Okay, it's time for our big, awesome website project, and I'm super excited to see what everyone comes up with. So this project we would normally have right before midterms, and I would have everything graded, and this would be like your midterm point of the course. But COVID in 2020 just has not allowed for that this year. But I am still really excited to see all of your projects. So what am I looking for in these projects? I want you to create a website that contains 3 well-developed and designed pages that demonstrate your knowledge from the previous chapters. Show me how much you've learned with this project. Each page on your site needs to contain all those required elements. You have to have your doc type statement, your meta char set. You may have a header, you may have a footer, you may have a main, you may even have an aside. But make sure you're getting those required elements in there. All content needs to be saved in one folder. So all of your images, all of your HTML documents, and all of your CSS documents need to be in one folder. Now you can move your images into a separate folder, but remember we talked about that in chapter 4, you'll have to change the path of where your source looks for that file. Your files need to be saved lowercase, no spacing. If you download images from the internet, make sure that you rename those images and that they're not a long strand of text. All your links need to work on each page. So double check each page to make sure your navigation is working correctly. For your navigation section, you need to use pseudo classes. Make sure those pseudo classes are in order. No underline for your main navigation. So make sure you remove that text decoration, text decoration none. If you have horizontal nav that goes across, make sure you either have MBSP or some kind of word spacing so that your navigation links aren't really close together. If you're using vertical navigation like we learned about in chapter 6, make sure you're using an unordered list and you have your list style type to none. And then if you use images as your navigation, as your main navigation, include some text navigation links in your footer. Remember, if we use images as navigation, that kind of violates our accessibility principle, so we can include those text nav in the footer. I've never had a student do that. I'm excited to see maybe you guys will do that this year. You need for all of your images to use alt text. And if you are using images from the internet, make sure that you download those images to your folder and you are not linking directly to those. So I know for your source, you could include the fully qualified URL to get to that image, but if something happens to that website, then it's messed up your website. So make sure you download those images to your file. Make sure you use multiple CSS rules. They can be embedded or external, but I would not recommend inline for this project. You need to use a class or ID configured and used correctly. You can use more than one of those. Your pseudo classes do not count for this. You need to have at least one hyperlink to an external page. Include favicons on all of your pages. We learned about this in chapter 4. You can Google a favicon generator and make your own favicon by uploading an image and then link that on your site. And then make sure your site passes the validation services on W3C. There's no reason for you to lose these 10 points. All you have to do is upload it and fix whatever the issues are. For your content, just make sure it's thorough and appropriate and you don't have any spelling or grammar errors. This is often hard for us, but do have someone proofread your document. This is a deduction of 10 points for even one spelling error. So if you make a simple mistake, that's going to cost you a letter grade. So make sure you're having someone proofread and you are proofreading. For your design, just overall well designed, show me how you can use color, font, and other elements. I gave you some tips in the previous videos on where you can find sources to help you with this, but I just want to see consistent and meaningful use of these principles. Now this is new for this year. Normally we would have a very collaborative classroom environment where we helped each other and we worked together and that just hasn't happened yet. I haven't seen that in any of my classes, so I'm requiring it for this project. So throughout working on this project, I want you to request and to help your peers. Each time a peer asks for assistance with their website, you are not helping them do the code. You are not taking control of their mouse or keyboard. You are not sending them code. You are saying, hey, what if you tried this? Or I remember we learned that in chapter 4. Try to provide constructive feedback, and constructive feedback is a gift. I had a professor in college, and I've always appreciated that she encouraged us to do this when we were in her class. Offering feedback to another person is a way to help that other person improve. Now, that doesn't mean that you can tell someone, hey, that website's awful, it's terrible. No, that's not constructive feedback. Constructive feedback would be, do you see the way that image is grainy? I wonder if you could find another image that looks clearer. Or that color choice hurts my eyes. I wonder if you should rethink that. There are ways that we can communicate to others without saying things that could be interpreted as negative. So we're going to work on that with requesting, receiving, and providing feedback to our peers during this project. Now, I know that's going to be a little hard because we're all at different places, but even if you are ahead, take time, or even if you're behind, take time to offer your peers these feedbacks. Now, if you're a virtual learner, we need to have at least one Zoom meeting halfway through your progress. That's just an opportunity for us to sit down and talk about your project and kind of your ideas and where you're going with it. And maybe I can offer you some feedback and constructive feedback. So I'm really excited about this project. Those of you that are in the classroom, I'll be happy to help you as we move through this. We don't have as much time to devote to this as we normally do, so it may be that you need to work on this outside of your class. So as soon as you get finished with these videos, you need to have a design, not a design, but a topic, and get that content written out. You don't have to have a lot of text, but you do need to have some text on your page. And you cannot copy the text. Do not copy text from another website, but you can use copyrighted images. Normally, you would not be allowed to use copyrighted images. That means any image on the internet is probably copyrighted. Okay, we just have to assume that that is the case. But for the purposes of this project, because we do not have access to really high quality free photos, you can copy images from the internet. We just will not be able to publish this website in any way. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to assist you, and I'm really, really excited to see all the great projects that you guys come up with.